You're building a house. A lot of the folks that are building a house are learning what they need to do on your house. That's just the way it is right now. Not to have a second pair of eyes on a house that's going to cost you, in this area, over $500,000. To me, is short-sighted.
What is going on, world? Dominic DePietro, and you're here with the ROI Construction Podcast, and I have the honor and privilege to be at the home of Pro Spex with Glenn. Did I say it right?
You got it.
This is really cool for me because Glenn has been such a monumental part of my story. When I went to try to acquire my first property, I got a 2 or 3K HUD loan, and the conditions of the loan was I needed a 2 or 3K HUD inspector. And I'm so grateful for that because it led me to none other than Glenn. And from there, our relationship kind of blossomed.
Yeah.
For everyone that doesn't know about Pro Spex, could you kind of just give a brief overview of how you started the company and what you guys do?
Let's see. My wife and I started the company in 2003. We do residential and commercial inspections. We started out as just a pure, basic home inspection company, and then it just evolved over the years because we want to be seen as more of a building inspection company. So for us, it doesn't matter if it's a shed, commercial building, a house. It really doesn't matter. If you have any type of investment in real estate, we're there to provide information on which you can use to make sound decisions that are in your best interest. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm really happy you mentioned the investment piece because it's been a tool. I've worked with Glenn and Pro Spex on every single acquisition, every single job I've done, except for one where they made me waive inspection contingency. A home inspection is really good at letting you know right away what's wrong with the house and what you need to address, especially if you intend on putting renters on there. You want to be proactive and not reactive because once you have a renter in there living, dealing with the headaches and trying to be reactive is not that much fun. Sometimes you have to displace them, and it's really costly. What do you think is the most powerful part of a home inspection report?
We look at the report as a tool for the customer to get a better understanding of their investment so that they can make decisions that are in their best interest. Oftentimes people come to us and they ask us, all these questions, primarily always start, how much does it cost? And well, you really should be focusing on the information that we're providing because it really doesn't matter how much it costs at the end of the day. If the information I provide doesn't help you make an informed decision, then you've just wasted your money. And so for us, we put a lot of effort into making sure our reports are clear, accurate, and in a format that the person receiving it can understand it. Because they're not in our industry. So using fancy terms is not going to help them. We'll use video in the report, photographs in it, whatever it takes to communicate clearly because I don't know what that person's resources are. Did a home inspection one time for a gentleman who was an electrician. He never mentioned that he was an electrician. The house had a ton of electrical issues, but he knew he could address those very easily. I didn't know that. My job is simply to explain, look, this is what's going on with this house. And so a well-written report you should be able to take it, read it, and get a clear understanding. Okay, this is what I'm about to invest in, so that person can prioritize what's most important to them.
Yeah, and to go even further with that, Glenn and Pro Spex has provided me with all the valuable information. And then what I actually did with that information is leverage it in the negotiation process. And his reports from Pro Spex have saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even on my first deal that we met in Savage, the 2 or 3K HUD loan, when our journey began together, originally I was under contract for around $250,000. After Glenn and Pro Spex home inspection report, I was able to negotiate the seller, which it was actually the bank at the time, down to $139,000, which is well over $100,000 savings. And that, my friends, is a positive return on investment with Pro Spex. Just don't use that against me and charge me more next home inspection. But it's an incredible service that you guys did. And what's funny, before we started the interview, I was asking you, is this a franchise model? Pro Spex. And why I ask that is if you go to Glenn's website or look at his branding, he has done an incredible job at really establishing a brand that feels and looks like a national brand. And that was something that early on made me want to go with you guys, how professional your website was. You could click and actually pick who your inspector is and the time slot and everything. Can you walk all of us out there? We have a lot of home service contractors. Like, how did you set all that up, and how did you get such official branding and the website and all that?
Well, for us, we and that is my wife and I. When we started this back in 2003, we made the decision from the outset that this is not going to be a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. There are inspectors who do this part time. It's a hobby. We found the name. Okay, because if you're going to brand something, you need an identity. Okay, it can't be Glenn and Yvonne's Home Inspection Company, because we are not the inspection company. The company is an entity unto itself. It has to live beyond us so that we can step away and it continues to provide the services. And so the first thing we had to do is put systems in place, proper systems on how we inspect, how we deliver our reports, how we communicate with the public so they know what they're getting. Consistency is key. We've got a bunch of inspectors that work for us, and we can't afford for each of those inspectors to do things their way. It has to be the Pro Spex way. So then what is the Pro Spex way? We had to define that. And so very early on, once we acquired the name, we trademarked the name, and we built everything around it. And so the logo and all of that was intentional from the very beginning, because we want folks to know when you call that name, it means something. We talk about integrity. We talk about, what are we doing? We're delivering a service that helps people make informed decisions that are in their best interest. That's what Pro Spex does. That's really how it evolved. And so we've extended everything beyond that, the logos, the vehicles, the building, all of our signage, website, it all comes together, because if you're building a brand, that's the way that's the way we've learned to do it, and we've learned from others.
I really admire that about you guys. I'm probably complete opposite. I just freaking ran, head first, and we'll figure it out later. How did you learn that, or what really made you to be so conscious and focused and deliberate about everything?
Well, I think it came about because when we started, it was just my wife and I, and we hired a business coach. And the first thing he said to us is, we need to get all this stuff that are in our head out on paper. Okay. Because we had a lot of ideas and so on, like a lot of small businesses do. It's all up here, floating up here.
Totally.
And you're going at it. Yeah. But he said, if you want to grow, you've got to put that stuff down on paper. And then when you put it down on paper, you start to realize certain things, okay? And then things start to, you start to take things in different directions, because now it's a material thing that's in front of you that you can see and feel. And it was an amazing experience for us when we did that. And then from that point on, we started to document everything. So now we have a document that describes how we conduct an inspection. We have a document that describes what is a good report and what isn't. We have a document that describes how to properly write a comment structure, because not everybody that comes to us has those skill sets, and for us to get them on board with us on how we do things, we started then documenting every single thing that we do. So yeah, it was, so we're at that point where we want to be able, like I said, to step away and have something that can continue to beyond us, because now we've got people that work for us, who depend on us, who have to make a living to support their families. And we can't do that if we're not structured. We can't do it. And so, yeah, it has to be that way, so that if we decide, to move on, the folks that have a job working here know that the business will continue without us. Yeah. And that's important.
That's incredible. And just for context, way before AI, it was actually before Instagram, 2003.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even think Facebook had launched yet. So it's really cool. The only book I've read that really dives into that very deep is the E-Myth Revisited.
Yep.
It's a really good book if you want to check it out.
Yep, read that.
To be very documented, and what you touched on, which also is in the book, is every single time I've worked with Pro Spex, it's the same exact feeling and experience that you can rely on, and that consistency is so valuable to consumer, because you get the same service every single time, and they're not changing it up on you, and it's really something I admire about you and your company, and I think that's really awesome.
Thank you.
What I heard, so you guys are now not just national, you guys are in different countries and Germany and different stuff like that. That's incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
One of the things that we're trying to do, we came into this as being home inspectors, okay, home inspection industry, and we see ourselves as a building inspection company. And the part of the reason is because if you take a house and you use it and you turn it into a dental office, structurally it's the same house, but now it's treated as if it's a commercial inspection, simply because you changed the use. And so there's no reason why an inspector inspecting a house cannot inspect a quote unquote commercial building. Okay. And so my background's in architecture and planning. So's my wife. And so we're fortunate to have had that training from the design and construction standpoint before we entered the home inspection industry. So we have a very rounded approach to what we do. In trying to grow the company beyond just being a home inspection company, we're trying to support, we're now looking at markets both local, state, and federal, because those are buildings. Okay, government entities need to know what condition these buildings are in because they're spending money on it. We've expanded our footprint, and we were contacted by a very large corporation who had won a defense contract to inspect all military housing. I mean, we're talking about a lot of housing, all branches of the military. And we were fortunate enough to be selected as part of their team to inspect housing for the Army. The Army has roughly 110,000 homes on the planet, 90,000 in the US, 20,000 overseas. And so we're into year 3, and we're part of a large team. It's not just us. It's about, at one time it was like 80 inspectors, and we had like 20 of those, of the 80 were Pro Spex inspectors. So right now they're in Germany, inspecting housing, our men and women in service. They need to have proper housing, and that has been a problem over the years. And so we're submitting reports to through the prime contractor to Congress, say, hey, this is the condition of these homes, and then they'll make decisions on how to address that going forward. So yeah, they're in Germany right now. They're supposed to be going to Belgium and then Italy before they come home. But it's been a great ride. We've been doing this for almost 3 years.
That's really cool. And I know a lot of contractors, they're always interested in government jobs and government contracts. What advice would you have to someone out there that wants to get into government contracting?
First thing, make sure that you have a true business. Have your systems in place, your accounting systems, your accountability systems, your reporting systems. The better organized you are, the stronger you look when it comes to responding to these RFPs. We just responded to an RFP for Baltimore City. They need assistance with a program to try to get rid of all of the vacant housing in Baltimore. And so we just started this week. We are one of several companies they've hired. As they give out these grants, they want to make sure that the monies are being spent to get these houses restored. And we're going up there today. And so we're working with the contractors and documenting the process as the houses are being restored, which is important. And so we can't do that if we don't have our act together. So we have to have our systems in place. We have to have all of our reports. How do we, when we wrote the RFP, showing them that we are serious about what we do, and we have a structure in place to be able to deliver what they need the way they want it in the time that they need it. Because it's always about what does the customer want at the end of the day, and you can't do that if you're not structured. In my view.
For sure. And for those that don't know, RFP is request for proposal. I didn't know that for a while, so don't worry. And we've dabbled and done some government work, and the best advice I can say is you have to be way better with the pen than the sword. Everything is in the details for government contracting, and you can really go wrong. I had a GC bid a job, and they gave us the specs for the roof, and they told us to give them a bid for TPO, and they got awarded the contract like this. And this was a government building, over 10 stories, massive crane job. And I was like, something's got to be off, because they got the job so quickly. It didn't seem like a normal government process. When I got further into the details, because as they revealed more to us, it was actually a completely different roof system. They wanted these massive, very heavy pavers on top of EPDM, completely different roof system, and we're talking about like $300,000 to $500,000 difference in price. Where they messed up was essentially just all the details, and if you do want to get into government contracting, you have to be really, really precise and really on top of your systems, as Glenn's talking about, but really good at reading contracts and reporting and understanding when you have to invoice, because that gets very complicated as well. So you have to be really good on the back end side of things in the office. And then you mentioned commercial buildings. You did our office, which was really awesome. And what do you think? On the flip side, you're inspecting a lot of contractors' work, because I've actually been brought in. You've brought us in as kind of like a knowledge expert from time or two, where you're inspecting a recent job that a contractor did, but something went astray. Are you ever put in those middle of those like legal kind of battles between the contractor and
It is
homeowner?
interesting you should mention that. I was in inspection just yesterday. I did this inspection about 2 weeks ago for a customer. House in Silver Spring. It's on sale over $1 million. New construction. It looks like, from what I could tell, they took down an old building, left part of the foundation, and they built on top of it. Contemporary home, nice, 3 stories above grade. And so went out, did the inspection, and called your office again because there was no flashing over the tops of the windows. And I'm like, okay, that's an issue. And flashing is just a way of ensuring that water doesn't get into the walls of a home if you put what we call a penetration or hole, whether that hole is a door, window, a pipe, whatever. You have to flash it properly, right? Basic 101. Well, they didn't do that. And so I called it out. I called the architect who did the construction drawings, because I saw it in his drawings, and just to sort of reinforce it, because I knew it was wrong. He said, yeah, it's in my drawings. I told them they had to do it. They didn't do it for whatever reason. So here you have a situation where the developer, who just finished doing all of this work, didn't have an inspector look over the shoulder of the contractors that he had hired, and now they're having to take the siding off to do something they should have done in the first place. And so we see quite a bit of that. We do new construction inspections. We've done probably every major builder in this area. Clients will hire us as the house is being built, because it never hurts to have a second pair of eyes, especially before that siding goes up. Because once that siding goes up, who knows what could be hidden. And half the time, this is not intentional. I think the unfortunate part in this country is we've gotten away from trade schools. We don't teach this stuff anymore. What people don't realize is when you're building a house, a lot of the folks that are building a house are learning what they need to do on your house. Okay, that's just the way it is right now. And so not to have a second pair of eyes on a house that's going to cost you, in this area, over $500,000, to me is short-sighted. And then you've got flips. They're taking place all over the place, especially in Baltimore. People are buying these rundown houses, trying to turn them around as fast as possible, because obviously they're trying to make a profit. That's perfectly fine. But when they do the shortcuts in order to get there, we've seen everything you can imagine. From most recently, a furnace was put in, and the furnace and the water heater come together, and the exhaust pipe for the water heater, it leaves the water heater and it goes down towards the furnace. Okay, basic principle of venting has to go up. So
Up and out.
Up and out.
Yeah.
The vent pipe literally goes down towards the furnace.
So does the whole house just have steam and fog everywhere?
That's it. Yeah. And so that is what we come across all the time. I just wish contractors would involve third-party inspectors more in what they do, because they could save themselves a lot of time and headache.
For sure. And do-it-yourselfers is very popular and very trendy. And all the power to you. Definitely do it yourself. GC your own job if you want.
Yep.
But for a very fraction of what the construction and everything costs, you could have an expert like Glenn or Pro Spec there being an advocate to you during the construction part, because it does get a little hairy when you have to deal with a GC, and it's very uncomfortable to tell that GC, hey, I don't think that looks right. So having a third party non-bias that's on your side, because of course you hired him, to kind of have your back and just be a very educated voice to tell the contractor, hey, this doesn't really look right, you're not really doing it right, is a very high return on your investment. It's been monumental for me in my career. And what he referenced as far as contractors, I've taken all the contractor licenses, and what they don't really test you on is actually the trade that you're performing. A lot of it is more legal issues and contract management, which is all very important for MHIC and DC and things of that nature. But not everybody is a second generation contractor that grew up in the business, and it's really hard for the consumer to know, especially how easy it is for people to marketing and pop things up left and right on their websites, and AI is speeding that tool up faster and faster.
Yes, it is.
And it's just, best advice I could say is slow down sometimes and just get a little extra help. Don't go super cheap on hiring an expert to really look and just kind of have your best interests. And that I think is great advice. And it's been really cool. And from the contractor side, what's been really fortunate is Glenn has seen our work, which is really great, because even as we grow, it's really valuable for me to have Glenn on my side to even, I've had him look at things for us just to make sure we have a very high level of quality assurance for all of our consumers, because it's one of the scariest things as you grow. And even if you have all the right systems in place, it's really good to just do an audit and a check. Because recently we had the privilege of doing your siding here.
Yep.
And that was a asbestos siding job.
Yep.
You want to tell everybody kind of like asbestos, and did you get a grant
Yes,
for
we
this
did.
too?
Yep.
Which I think a lot of people are curious about grants, and if you can walk them through that process and what ROI did for you guys.
Sure. Yeah, so we're in the city of Laurel, on Laurel's Main Street, and this house is considered a historic house. It was built in 1902, and so the front of Main Street, everything, they want to try to keep those old houses, that old character, which I think is great. And so they have a program for all the businesses on Main Street where you can get financial support if you need to do some development. They had a siding replacement program, and where the city will give you the money to replace the siding, and you're all simply committing to to remain on Main Street and have a viable business. That's what they want, to have viable businesses, not and then not to take the money, replace and then sell the house. They really don't want that.
Yeah.
And so we've been on Main Street since 2016, and we had to submit 3 proposals for the cost, and yours obviously was one of them, because I wouldn't do it without you guys. And they weren't necessarily looking for the cheapest. They were looking for a company that would do the job the right way for a reasonable price. And so your pricing was very, very competitive. Wasn't the cheapest, and I'm not a fan of doing the cheapest. I like to say cheap is expensive.
Yeah.
That's my motto. It's very
Same
expensive.
thing goes for home inspections.
Yes.
I've seen some of them, and they're like, talk to a professional and get a second opinion. You'll see that on inspection reports from
a lot.
inspectors that are not sure. They're like, yeah, it doesn't look right, but talk to a professional. It's like their out clause.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's how it came about. They gave us the grant because we're committed to being on Main Street for as long as we have no plans of moving. It's a great location for us. And your team came out, did the work, because we had metal siding below which we had asbestos siding, and below that was the original wood lap siding, which is what the house was built in the early 1900s. And so your team came out, did a phenomenal job, took everything down. They had all the personal protective equipment, suits, masks, the whole nine yards. And I was surprised they did it fast. They did it neat. It was everything was flashed properly.
Yeah.
which was great. And so yeah, it was a great experience. It always has been.
Yeah.
You know, it always has been. I think, and you guys just did a roof at my rental property in Hyattsville. They're replacing the roof and gonna do the solar panels as well.
Up next.
So yeah, it's been good.
It's really cool because I know how detailed, and I've seen Glenn beat up contractors. I mean, it's his job, and I sleep incredible at night knowing I have gold seal of approval from Glenn and Pro Spex. It's a huge honor because his name means so much because of the reputation he's built and all the work that he's done, and it's a huge honor to be considered in your circle of trust. No, it's serious. It's really incredible, the body of work that you've put together. And
and part of it is learning from others.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we were talking about it earlier. We've learned a lot from you. Your level of your integrity, and about how you do things. Like we've run into a lot of contractors over the year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there that really don't care. They're only in it for the money. Period. And as I mentioned, I say this folks all the time. If you want it done right, okay, and you want a company that will stand behind their mistakes, no hassle, come back, correct it, no arguments, call ROI. If you want it done cheap, then I can't help you.
Yeah.
I don't refer cheap companies because I don't do business with them. I don't want them on my house. I wouldn't refer them to you. But if you want it done right, I can't tell you what it will cost, but I know it will be done right. Yeah. And that's the kind of relationship you and I have, and that's why I refer your company any day. In my sleep, I have no hesitations whatsoever.
That means the world to me and everybody at ROI. And houses are an imperfect thing.
Yep.
Over time with settlement, they all lean. Nothing is really 100% perfect angles. And no matter what kind of construction you're in, mistakes will always happen. But what always means the most is who's going to be there to stand up and protect your investment and do the right thing and correct those mistakes when stuff happens.
Yep.
And it's really means a lot to me to hear that, Glenn. If you and I were gone tomorrow and you had to leave the world and the audience with one piece of advice on life or business, whatever, what would you leave them all with?
One piece of advice. Try to do things the right way. If you strive to do things the right way, things will be fine. Things will be fine. Too many of us are chasing after the money.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always work out. Yeah. Like I said, can't sleep at night. Wondering, what's going to happen. You never have to worry when you do it right, no matter what the cost is. You just don't have to. Yeah. Like I said, I sleep well at night.
Totally. And it's such a under talked about thing, but if you do it the right way, it might take a little bit longer, but the money will always come because you'll build that reputation and you'll be known at that. And in the long term, on the macro level, that is the only winning strategy because anytime you try to cut corners, and just chase quick bucks. It's the quickest way to have a negative return on your investment, so to speak. So,
it's not just about what we do for a living.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's in relationships too.
Yeah.
Treat that person right, the relationship will flourish. That's just how I see it.
For sure. I think there was quotes like, it's how you treat someone that you think can't do something for you is more important than how you treat people that you think can do something for you. And it's a beautiful, peaceful way to live life. It's just you sleep good, and the world rewards you. It's what you put out there really does come back tenfold, and it's you're a testament of that, and it's an honor. How can everybody find Pro Spex if they want to use you guys for home inspections or builds?
Google. You can Google us. When you spell Spex, it's SPEX. So it's Pro SPEX. Just type that in. Like I said, it's we're the only company in the home inspection industry with that name, so we're easy to find.
Love that.
And so we've got Facebook, Instagram, and all that. So just type in Pro Spex. SPEX, and you'll find us.
Awesome. And if you guys enjoyed this podcast, please comment, share, let us know what you want us to talk about. If you want to hear more from Glenn and Pro Spex, we're more than happy to do another episode. Maybe we'll do one on site at the next property that we do, which will be really cool. Please check them out online, Pro Spex, and thank you so much for watching. And please, if you want to continue to help us grow, just share, like, comment, and you'll see more of this bearded guy. So hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and always remember, dominate.